What's up guys, here in my kitchen today, about to do a little bit of sharpening. This is the first video back after I've taken a little break from the end of season 2 of the Newfoundland Hobbyist, and I've needed a little break, a little bit of rest time from that. But what I'm here sharpening with today is the Edge Pro Apex. Now this is a new sharpening tool that I picked up. It's the first I've tried of the guided systems. I haven't tried the Lansky, I haven't tried any of the other brand names out there. There are some at different price ranges. I've seen the Edge Pro brand the most over the years, ever since I started on YouTube and started sharpening. Seems like Edge Pro's been the most prominent name. It's an American company, a smaller scale company, but the stuff they make is just incredible. I'm honestly blown away by this, even though on all my sharpening videos over the years I've talked about how important I think freehand sharpening, whetstone sharpening is. I finally decided to try out a system like this and to see what place it would have in the sharpener's toolkit. So I'll quickly cover the components here. I plan on doing a bunch of videos on this just to show you the different options and stuff and what I learn over time. But I'll tell you first off, it's a very intuitive system. It just makes sense. Now, I'm coming from a place of already being pretty proficient with freehand sharpening, so that might give me an advantage, but I can't see it being too difficult for anyone. So what you have here, this all disassembles and breaks down. These legs fold up. But the whole basis of the operation is this, what you see here, this glass plate base with the rubber ring around it. This is an additional option you can purchase to allow you to use it on your kitchen countertop and not scratch it up or not have it move around. It's heavy, it holds in place. But this is all like a synthetic or plastic type base. Your knife will sit right here. Your knife doesn't clamp down. There's a magnet within here that does kind of snap your knife in place, but it's quick to move around this way. Some systems you have to kind of clamp your knife in place, and you have to take it out again when you want to switch sides. This Edge Pro Apex is not like that. Because of the magnet, you can flip it around and it still holds pretty firmly in place. I have a bit of tape there just to it's a little bit softer on your knife surface, just a little bit of masking tape. But the whole idea of these systems is that you have a stone to clamp in here. You see a little dovetail system, and this tightens down and grabs onto your stone. But this rod here moves back and forth, and you can adjust your angle height. So you see we have several graduated marks if you want them, but it is infinitely adjustable between them. And the higher you go up, the more steep your angle will be. So yellow, I believe, is 21 degrees. This is the most common angle, and it's the one I use most. What's nice about having those graduated marks on there is that if you end up reprofiling all your knives to that yellow marker 21 degrees, anytime you want to sharpen, you don't need to be switching around trying to find the angle. You set to the 21 and you go to work. Now, like I said, Edge Pro uses a dovetail type system, so what you have are these billets of aluminum here with, I don't know if you can see that, the dovetail type system on each end. And then we have, of course, you can get different kits with different variations of stones. The stones with this set go 120, 220, 400, 600, and 1000. It's all in synthetic stones. And then what we have are polishing tapes on these billets. Look how nice those billets are. They're super light. But they're polishing tapes right here. They stick down. They hold very durable to the backing. I talked to Edge Pro about their use of the tapes to see why they wouldn't use a stone, and it's mostly due to cost factor. So the tapes go 2,000, 3,000, and 6,000 is the gray. So by using tapes instead, you can see I have a whole bag of tapes here, and they last pretty good. But by using the tapes like this, it cuts down on the system's cost quite a bit, so it's more for your interest as a consumer. So what we're going to be working on today here is a little KitchenAid Santoku. I use this knife a lot. I've used it for a long time. Now I more so use my custom Santoku that I've made for myself. But this right here is a beautiful blade. It's quite thin. It belongs to a knife block set that I bought a few years ago. German steel, very good steel in these, not overly hard, but very nice. But this knife is super, super dull there now, and it hasn't had a good sharpening for a while. So we're going to take care of that. So just show you the magnet. So it's got quite a bit of snap there. So this is your guide here that slides up and down on the track. What you want to do is you want to set the guide up so your knife just overhangs the table here. So right there we have just ever so slightly, just a few mils. And that way we can switch back and forth once you get it set up. That's all you have to do right there. Because these stones aren't overly thick, they don't soak up a ton of water. The coarser ones soak up a bit more, as you can see right there now. So what I'll do is when I'm starting sharpening, I'll just give them all a little bit of watering. And the coarser ones I'll water a couple times. But I'll just give it a minute here. You can see the 120 and the 220 have already stopped soaking in water. So you don't need a don't need a tub of water or a sink or anything like that to soak them for 8 or 10 minutes. They don't require that. Just a bit of water like that, and we're ready to go. So we'll start with the 120 here, and you'll just slide the stone into the dovetail system, and you'll just turn this handle in a couple turns, and that stone is locked into place. It's beautiful. You've got plastic here overhanging, so when you come back, if you do end up bringing up in your edge, it's just plastic, so it won't damage your edge. And on the way out, we have a rubber ring here, so if you hit your posts, there's nothing to hurt. It just kind of softly brings up. So I'll just give it a little bit more water, and you can wet it while you're sharpening like that. That's nice. Now the true beauty of this system is that once you get to this stage, everything becomes so much easier. The big trick with whetstone or freehand sharpening is the maintaining of an angle, and that takes a long time to learn. With this system, your angle is fixed. So you can see that if you can just work with your stone back and forth, that angle is maintained. You never have to worry about it. You can be watching TV and do this, and it's a beautiful system in that way. So just like with whetstones, I just sharpened one side until I created an edge. So just like with whetstone sharpening, I just worked on one side until I created an edge right to the apex, flipped over, did the same thing, and now just like with whetstone sharpening, you guys that have been watching me sharpen for a while know that I always finish with just a few cutting strokes on either side. And that is just to remove a burr, to pull a burr off of there and establish a nice hard edge, not a burred edge. Give it a little wipe, and if you could just watch here how quick it is to change a stone. It's just that quick and simple. I'll give it a little bit more water. We can go back on, our guide's already set up. Now we can keep working, this time with a 220. Now we've already established our edge, you don't have to worry about that angle. The angle is already kept perfectly for you. All we need to do is worry about replacing all the 120 grit scratches with 220 grit scratches. Now why did I tack down about these systems in the past. Like I said, I have spoken against these systems many times in the past, and I don't necessarily have to eat my words. I stand by what I said in one aspect, and that is the reason I always spoke down against these systems is because I hate the disintegration of hand skills and understanding that our countries have lost, that the world seems to be losing. There's no value anymore for hand skills, and I just think that's a really sad situation. So I like the idea of people being able to sharpen by hand. There are other few aspects I like about whetstones. If you can sharpen on a whetstone, then you can sharpen on almost anything. The skills are very transferable. However, if you learn to sharpen on this system, the skills aren't necessarily transferable. Someone who knows how to use a whetstone can jump on this machine and use it with ease. Someone who only knows how to use this machine with great results. If I am confident, if you gave them a whetstone, they would not have a clue where to start. They would not be able to do anything with it. So those things hold true. The difference is, or the value I can now see in this machine, is that not everyone has that same zeal for hand skills as me. So I need to recognize, sometimes I forget that I am not the ultimate standard. So I have to remember that not everyone has that same care for hand skill. Two, not everyone has the time to invest hours and hours and hours into learning a new hand skill. Some of you guys just have a hunting knife. You don't care how it gets sharp. You just want it to be razor sharp. And if you're that person and you don't care about the hand skill of it, then don't even consider getting whetstones. Just go grab a system like this. It is so much easier, and the results are, in my opinion, right from the start, just amazing. My first knife I sharpened with this system after getting it was as sharp, pretty well, as any knife I'd ever sharpened by hand. Because being able to have that angle kept just perfectly produces unbelievable results. So if you don't care about learning the art of whetstone sharpening, pick up a system like this. It's definitely a lot easier. The results are more consistent. I would say they're easier to use, much easier to use. Another point I would bring up, oh, that's so crispy sharp there now off that 220. Another point I would bring up why I like whetstones is because whetstones are transferable to all kinds of different tools. Now, Edge Pro has developed a series of attachments and stuff for the Apex and the Apex, or their professional model. I can't remember the name of it. Maybe it's the Apex Pro. I can't remember now, but to allow you to sharpen scissors and different things like that. And you can get pretty crafty on these and do different types of tools, but they're not as versatile as whetstones for sharpening things in your shop, like tools, hand planes, chisels, different things like that. Whetstones are going to be more universal, of course, but if you don't have any of those worries, pick up a system like this. It has my strong recommendation of being just an unbelievable tool. The stones are of incredible quality, just beautiful system. It all breaks down and tucks into a nice thin little bag, nice little carrying bag to take with you. It's just a lovely system. Now I'm just starting with the polishing tapes here now. I've only used this set of tapes a couple times, so it doesn't need to be changed yet. They don't absorb water and you can use them dry, but I like wetting them a little bit. So, on with our knife. You can use them same way as a stone, forward and back. This is a 2000 grit here now. And we're just honing at this point, so we're just removing the scratches from the 1000 grit stone. Just finishing here with the 6000. Now just using the weight of the rod here, just a few cutting strokes on each side. The 6000 now is starting to get pretty worn and torn up a little bit, but still does well. They cut very good. It's a high quality paper. I'd like to know where they get those sheets. I could certainly use some sticky back sandpaper like that in my knife making, that's for sure. And now we have an absolutely perfect knife edge. You know, it's kind of tough to see, but there's that polish on that blade. You can see as the light moves there. It's always tough to show on camera, but look how uniform and even that polish is. That's something that's always been a struggle, even with my experience, always been a struggle to get with the whetstones, is to get that even and flat of a profile. Just with the human error introduced and the lack of steadiness in your hand, you almost never get rid of that completely. And you can see that light there glimmering off that edge again. We'll do a quick paper test. Right, of course it's beautifully sharp. I don't think any of you guys would argue that at this point. But since we're in the kitchen, let's try it on an actual bit of food here. Oh, that's a tough onion root. The edge here is beautifully sharp. The geometry on this knife isn't the best. I could go with a shallower angle, ideally for a kitchen knife, or even breaking that edge a little bit. But it's a beautiful edge. Let me pull out my Santoku. This is my custom here. This is an 01 steel. This is the prototype of my very first kitchen knife. This one is also sharpened on the Edge Pro, but just check out the difference geometry makes here. Just beautiful. These are up for sale if you're interested in ordering one. Just beautiful. As I said, that Edge Pro, guys, is highly recommended. I can't recommend it enough. It's such a good tool, such an awesome tool for you guys that are looking for something else to make your sharpening a little easier, or if you're looking for just to get into sharpening, to be able to be self-sufficient with your sharpening and not have to take months and months of practice to get nice edges. Highly recommended. Thanks for watching. Check out the Edge Pro site. I'll throw a link down in the description, perhaps the comments there as well. Hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.